On Britain's streets, a battle is raging.
Don't touch me, son.
Well, I already just did, didn't I?
What are you going to do about it?
Over 11 million of us rent.
I wouldn't put anybody in this situation.
Oh, seriously, they're not living in this, are they?
So why should I live like this?
But thousands fall victim to rogue landlords.
There's just water cascading through here.
This is a dirt trap.
On the other side, there are 2 million private landlords and counting.
I want my house back. I don't give a toss.
I wanted to drag her out of the flat. This is my flat.
I'll never rent again. Too much hassle.
But many face financial ruin at the hands of tenants from hell.
He hasn't had his rent for ages. He's owed
So
20.
what? When are you going to pay me the money?
There's a scam going on here, Donny.
I know.
In this series,
Go, come on, let's go.
we follow the heroes who take slum landlords down.
Paying rent to live in a decent property,
There's so many things wrong, it's unbelievable.
Yeah, somebody touches that, they get electrocuted.
not acceptable.
And the experts whose job it is to evict nightmare tenants.
Do not push me. Do not push me.
London's overheated rental market sometimes looks like the Wild West. While today's rents are sky high, so too are rent arrears and the number of evictions. Alex Williams is on his way to the buy-to-let that has become a huge headache.
I've never felt this kind of anger. I truly have never felt this kind of anger. It's the kind of anger that you wake up with and immediately it hits you.
When Alex, an actor, inherited some money, he decided to invest it in rental property, hoping it would provide him with some extra income. And when his tenant moved in 2 years ago, at first she seemed fine.
It was pretty good for about a year. And then that's when they started not paying any rent whatsoever.
So far, Alex is owed more than £7,000 in missing rent.
What I wanted to do is drag her out of the flat and say, this is my flat, you can't live here anymore. And also, she's turned into the rudest person I've ever met. When we were last there, she was swearing at us. My girlfriend was crying, she was telling us to and that took me to the point of almost madness.
To rub salt in the wound, Alex has discovered his tenant has been running a business out of the flat.
I looked online and she had, in fact, set up a physiotherapy place in the living room of my property. It's my address there. It's just ridiculous. She's using my flat to get paid £50 an hour and she's not paying her rent. Okay, so here we are. It's a top floor flat.
Alex has asked his tenant to leave, but so far she's ignored him.
My girlfriend and I asked her, why are you doing this? I said, why? Maria was like, why are you doing this? She was actually crying at that point. Maria said, why are you doing this? You're ruining our lives. And she completely coldly looked at us and said, because I don't want to move. I mean, what do you say to that? She doesn't want to move. Maria said, if you just move now, it won't go to court. You can pay us the money back. Don't want to. I don't want to move. She's got this mad entitlement that she thinks that she can just go into someone's house and live there rent-free and ruin their lives, and it's not going to come to anything. And that's why I want her to go to court. I want her to go to court and be told, actually, you can't do that.
Alex has a court case scheduled to try and get his tenant evicted, but he has no idea whether he'll be successful. Squatting in a residential property was criminalised in 2012. But savvy squatters know that if they squat a commercial premises, the worst that can happen is the bailiffs turn up, which is why commercial properties are being increasingly targeted, as one Bristol landlord found out to his cost. Eviction lawyer Chris Sharp has a tough job on his hands. He's recently been hired to begin eviction proceedings for a developer who has some unwelcome visitors in his property.
I have to serve some squatters with some court papers, which will let the squatters know that there is a court action pending very soon, and that if they wish, they can attend.
Originally a tram station, Chris's client wants to demolish the building and build 8 new apartments. But the squatters have taken ownership and are refusing to leave.
My client Johnny is now stuck with them. He's got to go through the court process, and hopefully in the next week or so, we'll get them out.
The squatters moved into the building 7 weeks ago, and today Chris is serving papers to let them know they're being evicted. He has no idea how they will react.
Am I going to be met with hostility, or am I going to be met with blanket of silence? We're just looking out for a corner property that's brightly painted. Oh, I think we might have something here. Brightly painted pink elephant. We've got to serve the documents, we've got to put them in prominent places so anybody coming and going from the property can see that there's notices there. You notice all the insides of the windows have been blacked out. Nobody wants us to see what's going on.
If the squatters claim they haven't seen the notices, they can use that as an excuse to fight the eviction. So Chris is keen to speak to them face to face.
Will they, won't they come to the door? That's a dog. I just said 1 second. Hello? Hi there, mate. Can you just come to the door a second? I'm here from the landlord group. I'm just here to give you notice of the court hearing. I'm not going to come in, I just want to hand you this piece of paper. Yes, certainly. Hello? Do you want to come out? Do I have a quick chat? I just want to explain to you what the process is. You know the court process? OK, I'll pass you this document.
Chris calls his client, property developer John Morgan.
Hello.
Hi, Johnny. Just to let you know, I've served the documents. I've made contact with a couple of people in there. They weren't prepared to come out and give their side or explain to me how many there were of them. But the guys inside know that there's a hearing next week.
Yeah.
Will they turn up? Your guess is as good as mine.
The court hearing is scheduled for 6 days' time. If the squatters turn up to fight their case, it could be weeks before Chris and his client get them out.
Oh my God. The scumbags were
Oh my God.
Still to come,
The blinds are open and they're usually closed.
Alex is in for a nasty shock.
Hello?
We are here just to do our job.
And Chris clashes with angry protesters at the squat in Bristol.
I don't give a about the owner. Is he sleeping well tonight in a nice warm place? Live with it.
In South London, Alex Williams is on his way to court to try and evict a tenant who is refusing to leave his buy-to-let flat. He's meeting fiancée Maria, and they're hoping the judge will give them an order of possession, allowing them to call the bailiffs in.
I'm just nervous as to what's going to happen. I don't know, I don't understand, I don't know what's going to happen.
On top of all the legal costs, Alex and Maria are paying mortgages on 2 properties, the flat they live in and the buy-to-let. And with no rent money coming in, they're seriously out of pocket.
We are paying court, we are paying mortgage, so it's like, right, we don't even have the money, which is too much.
I want her to realise that she's done something wrong. She doesn't actually realise, I don't think, that what she's doing to people.
If the tenant turns up to make a defence, it could delay the eviction process and cost them even more money. After 45 minutes, the hearing is over.
It happened. It happened. It was the best news we could have hoped for. She didn't turn up. He basically said, we're going to seek all the money back, all of the court costs, plus interest on the money that she hasn't paid as well, so everything's covered.
The judge has ordered the tenant to leave within 2 weeks. If she doesn't go in this time, Alex and Maria will have little choice but to send the bailiffs in.
When she's gone, that's when we'll celebrate.
Exactly.
At the moment,
It's all in written and it's...
I just want all of this to be followed up properly. I want her gone.
The time for Alex's tenant to leave has come and gone, and he's now almost £10,000 out of pocket. Today, he's visiting the flat to find out if his tenant has finally left.
After 8 months of not paying, hopefully we'll go there, we'll turn up, and she won't be there. So, the blinds are open, and they're usually closed, so that's hopeful that she might not be there.
By law, Alex can't enter his flat unless he's certain she's gone.
Doesn't look like she's there. Okay, here we go. Hello? Hello?
The tenant seems to have gone, and Alex has his flat back.
Where have the...
But there's a shock in store.
So, that's one of my sofas. That's missing its legs. Where's the other sofa? There were 3 sofas here.
It appears some of his furniture is missing.
That is killer. There was a sofa here, there's a sofa here, there's a sofa here. I also gave them a TV.
It's not just missing furniture that's a problem.
That's broken. Look at that. Have you ever seen anything like that? Why bother? Why have you got the mop bucket out? You've put the mop bucket on top of stuff that needs mopping. There's a hole in this, It's very weird. They've broken a floorboard or something. That is absolutely wow. It's just everything is totaled. Like, why are all of these torn off? Why would you have no door handles? There is always something to be thankful for. That's her motto. It's so nice of her to leave such important messages around. Oh, she's so horrible. What an idiot.
Sorting out the property is going to cost Alex some serious time and money. But his first task is to secure the flat so his tenant can't return.
What happens next is we change the locks immediately and then get someone round to start work on the place. And she left a blender. So it's good. Nice of her.
While the vast majority of Britain's 8 million private tenants are good and honest people, every landlord dreads landing a bad tenant. A tenant who not only fails to pay the rent, but makes their life a misery. Vicky McNaught is heading to the property she owns with her daughter Laura to serve legal papers on her tenant. Now owed more than £3,000 in missing rent, she's desperate to get him and his girlfriend out. 2 months earlier, when the couple first moved in, they seemed perfect.
Everything
everything's stacked up, all their references stacked up. He was in banking, apparently he'd been in Gibraltar. He went to Eton, and they did a very good impression of being in love and wanting and loving the flat. Happy times ahead.
7 weeks later, the second month's rent didn't arrive, so Vicky approached the tenant's girlfriend.
She actually apologised profusely and wrote a cheque, and when we really started to be suspicious is when this cheque bounced.
Vicky's asked Paul Champlina from Landlord Action to help her evict the couple.
I've seen the case notes, there's been bounced cheque, problems with his bank, I've seen all those signs before, and that's what worries me about all this.
He's concerned that Vicky's initial checks on the tenant don't stand up.
We didn't get a previous landlord reference, did we? Do we know where they lived beforehand? Did
Well,
we get
apparently
those
he
information?
was living in Gibraltar or something, so that was his excuse for not having any landlord references.
I've got suspicions that there may be a bit something untoward here, and they may have possibly done this before.
Paul wants to inform her tenant they've begun legal proceedings to have the couple kicked out.
Good morning. Hi. I'm serving some eviction notices on you. Okay, it's in respect to the outstanding rent arrears. You owe 2 months' rent arrears.
The tenant's girlfriend has answered the door.
You've given a bounce cheque, so and you are technically liable for the rent.
It's clear she doesn't want to answer Paul's questions today.
That notice is a 14-day notice. If you don't pay up or leave, then we will be issuing court proceedings. And because of you not paying the rent, you're causing a lot of financial distress to the landlord, Victoria. Thank you.
Paul served the notice, but if his suspicions are right, getting Vicky's tenants out won't be easy.
A lot of these type of tenants, if I think it's that type of tenants, will just stay there as long as possible.
Yeah.
So I'm trying to prepare you for the worst case scenario. Unfortunately, you've got to psych yourself up that we're going to have to go to court.
All this couldn't have come at a worse time for Vicky and her family.
Husband's got Parkinson's. You know, he's been in hospital twice in the last month via ambulance in the middle of the night, and you know, it's horrendous stress when you're worrying about finances and also, you know, ill health.
If the tenants don't pay up, it may take up to 2 months to get a court hearing. That's potentially 2 more months without rent for Vicky. In Bristol, Chris Sharp is meeting his client, property developer John Morgan.
Hi John, how you doing?
Very well, Chris, how are you?
John owns a derelict tram station which he hopes to turn into 8 new flats. But 2 months ago, squatters moved in. John's hoping the judge will award him immediate possession of his building, but he's worried the squatters may put up a defence.
It wouldn't surprise me if they turn up today trying to buy the sympathy vote from the court.
Yeah.
If that happens, then I'm going to have to put forward arguments as to why that should not make any difference.
Yeah. I'm slightly nervous, slightly apprehensive. You know, as Chris said, we don't know what's going to happen in there, but hopefully we've got a good argument. They shouldn't be in there, so hopefully the judge will see that.
Just as John and Chris walk into court, 2 of the squatters turn up. It looks like they're going to fight the case. An hour later, John and Chris are out.
Good result, got the order. They didn't really argue that we didn't have a case. They were trying to persuade the court to give them more time. No, they've got no right to be there, and that's what you've got to remember. That's the bottom line.
John and Chris have their order of possession, but that doesn't mean the squatters will leave without a fight.
I don't think they're going to just vacate. No, I think they're going to want to stay there. Chris, thanks ever so much for your help.
Pleasure.
Much appreciated.
Cheers,
Thank you. Bye-bye.
It's 4 weeks later, and today is the day the squatters are due to be evicted.
The bailiffs are arriving shortly to regain possession of the building. Whether that means evicting the squatters or whether they've already gone, I'm not sure. I'm hoping they're not going to be there. They seemed pretty keen to avoid any kind of confrontation with bailiffs. I'm just keen to get the building back, and I guess I'm slightly nervous that I've never done this before, so who knows.
John is meeting Chris at the property ahead of the bailiffs, and he's in for a shock.
Hi John, how you doing?
Morning Chris, how are you?
Have you brought a fan club with you?
The squatters have launched a rooftop protest, and a group of supporters have turned up in force.
There's empty buildings all over Bristol, and people have the right to house themselves. That's the reality of the situation.
Well, slightly surprised, to say the least. I've never seen any of them before. They certainly weren't the people who were at court.
I don't give a about the owner. Is he sleeping well tonight in a nice warm place? Live with it.
We are here just to do our jobs.
As the situation escalates, the local press turn up.
So you're politicising something. We're here doing a job.
Is it not political?
We've got to. Well, we've got to. No,
what you do is not political.
It's legal.
John's brought along a team of builders to secure the property, and they too are in the firing line.
People like you specialise in oppressing the most vulnerable homeless people in society. You should be ashamed of yourselves, and we will resist this.
He's a demolition guy, I don't know why you're talking to him. Well, the irony is, of course, is that they're protesting that there's empty buildings and they want the buildings occupied, but we've got planning permission to convert this into 8 apartments. It's 8 more units that we're adding to Bristol's property stock. So I was slightly confused by the argument, really, but there we go.
Outnumbered by the protesters, Chris and John take shelter in a local cafe. Chris calls the bailiffs, who still haven't arrived, to find out what's happening.
Wondering on what kind of time we were looking at for you before you got here. They seem to be wanting to make a protest today. Are you driving around again? OK, thank you. Cheers, bye. They've driven by 2 or 3 times, but without the police, he says he knows they will cause an obstruction, which he will not be in a position to move. It needs to be done on a surprise appointment with the police, without giving them notice.
Fine. Yeah, let's do that. This is going to be, you know, anything could happen.
Chris and John will come back in a few days with High Court sheriffs, who by law don't need to give the squatters notice.
Gloves are off now. I think we've got to take a bit more firm action and do exactly what Chris says and arrange a surprise visit, and hopefully next time we won't be met by this hullabaloo.
Still to come.
That's perfect timing.
Vicky gets disturbing news about her tenant.
The police pitched up. They must have been looking for the tenant.
And the Bristol squatters get a rude awakening.
Morning. Morning, guys.
In West London, Vicky McNaught is on her way to the buy-to-let she's battling to reclaim from her tenant. Owed more than £7,000, she's been awarded a possession order by the court. The deadline for the tenant to leave was a few days ago, and Vicky's daughter, who co-owns the flat, went to the property and got a nasty shock.
She rang up the doorbell, and this girl answered and said, "Who are you?"
The girl claims she's renting the second bedroom for £625 a month in what looks like a subletting scam.
So they've been taking money, but obviously not paid a penny to us. The subtenant, we believe, has moved out.
This evening, Vicky is meeting eviction specialist Paul Champliner to see if the tenant and his girlfriend have also left. If they are still there, Paul won't be able to remove them, and they will have to come back with the bailiffs at a later date.
I believe there's been a development. You found out he'd been subletting or something?
Yeah, for at least 2 months, and I think they'd been subletting before.
Really?
And so that was a bit of a shock for her when she realised it wasn't their flat.
Right. And you spoke to the subtenant?
Yeah, and, you know, it's all a bit nasty and a bit unpleasant.
In another worrying development, Vicky's heard that the police are investigating her tenant about an unrelated matter. Just in case things get difficult, Paul's brought along backup. With the situation so tense, Vicky waits in a cafe while Paul checks whether the tenant is still there.
I hear people in there. Hello? I have keys, but I can't let myself in legally. But I can hear people in there. A bit frustrating. Yeah, the lights are on and the curtains are drawn. If this guy has done this before, he'll sit it out as long as he can.
It seems the tenant and his girlfriend may still be in the flat. Just then, in a dramatic twist, the police arrive.
That's perfect timing. Now, I'm going to nick him. What we just watched. There's obviously other business that's going on. It's nothing related to our case. So I presume it might be the tenant. Who knows? The plot thickens.
Paul calls Vicky in the cafe.
There was definitely someone in the property. We could hear them. I was banging on the door a few times.
They were there, were they?
Yeah, they were definitely there. We heard voices. The story unfolds. Just after I came out, about a couple of minutes after, the police pitched up. Two police, police van and a police car, and they went into the premises. So,
really?
Yeah, quite incidental. But I think they must have been looking for the tenant.
It's hard for Paul and Vicky to know what exactly is happening with her tenant. All they can do now is call in the bailiffs to have him evicted. It's been 4 weeks since Chris Sharp was forced to abandon his attempt to evict a group of squatters from a tram station in Bristol. Chris and the bailiffs were outmanoeuvred by the squatters and a group of protesters supporting them.
All this is delayed the inevitable. We will get them out. But there'll be no softly this time. We're having that property back. We've got a court order. They're in breach of the court order.
This time, Chris has called in a team of High Court sheriffs, and they're planning a military-style operation to kick the squatters out.
What the squatters actually said was, if we do evict them, could we do it after 9 o'clock? Because obviously they wanted the beauty sleep.
Chris and the team are going in early, hoping to catch the squatters by surprise and in bed.
There's no giving them a warning saying that we're coming round in 10 minutes' time. Not knocking on the door, but if necessary, knocking the door down.
Chris meets the High Court sheriffs around the corner from the property.
Mark, how you doing?
All right, Chris. Yeah, good.
Good journey down here?
Yeah.
It
was,
you're Jack, yeah?
You're right, Jack.
Nice to meet you, Jack. John, how are you?
Chris, all right?
Oh, very good, thank you. This is Mark, who's the leader of the sheriffs this morning.
Chris's client, developer John Morgan, is hoping that after a tough 12-week battle, he'll finally get his property back.
It's the last thing I want to be doing at this time in the morning, I can tell you. But, you know, and it feels a bit heavy-handed, but unfortunately we've got a building we need to gain back control of.
This is Mark, who's in charge of operations this morning.
Joining the sheriffs, John has brought along a team of demolition men to help break in and secure the building.
All set?
I'll do everything you says, boss.
My team and you will go up there together, yeah?
High Court Sheriff Mark briefs the team to make sure they have a clear plan of action.
We'll get that door open as quick as possible, or get us access in there as quick as possible.
I'll just smash the door in there with a sledge.
Okay, all right.
You're all right.
I believe last time they accessed the roof.
Yeah.
Right, so we need to know where that access.
We've got a ladder, so I was going to put 3 guys on the roof to stop them coming out of Velux windows.
Chris and the team must enter and take control of the building fast before the squatters wake up and call in reinforcements. One team secures the roof while another team attempt to break down the front door.
Listen, yeah, don't let anybody on that roof, yeah?
So we've got guys on the roof making sure that they can't get out of the windows there, because they get onto the roof, then we've got a really difficult job.
It quickly becomes clear the squatters plan to fight the eviction. They have heavily barricaded the door from the inside.
Hard work by the look of it. I don't quite know how they managed to barricade themselves in quite so well.
This is like Fort Knox. Stop pouring.
Getting in through the barricaded door is proving tough, so the team switch tactics and decide to try a skylight on the roof.
So you can step in from that window, can you?
Just watch yourself. Why is it
They're in.
Go. You all right? Let's go. Hold it. Let's get down there.
The building is on 2 floors with 3 rooms, but the sheriffs believe the squatters have locked themselves in on the ground floor.
Morning. Enforcement. Right, you take stuff up. You leave as quick as possible. Okay?
Morning, guys.
The squatters are given time to collect their belongings.
Let's get on with it, mate, yeah? You've got to give them a chance to get this stuff, haven't you? You know, because if they've got what they want, then they've got no reason to try and get back in.
Can you get me?
But it's a tense situation.
Don't think she's very happy. Must be. Right, he's early.
Right. Yeah, okay. Right, grab your stuff. You've got 2 minutes.
Do not push me. Do not push me.
What are you going to do? Open the door. Okay, we're going, mate.
Do not push me. On you go.
If you carry on doing all that sort of stuff, then we're going to get you out even quicker, okay? So just keep it all calm, keep it relaxed, and keep doing it as quick as possible.
For the past 12 weeks, the squatters have been using the building's utilities, all at property developer John's expense.
We've got all the essentials: food, heat, water, PlayStation.
Get the out of my face, yeah? I'm in my home. Get out. Get out.
As John seems to be the butt of the squatters' anger, he's staying outside to avoid any confrontation.
They clearly think they've got some divine right to be there, so they were always going to be difficult to eject. They certainly weren't going to leave voluntarily, so they kind of forced us into this kind of action.
They're dragging their feet a bit now.
You've got 2 minutes now. You're going to be removed.
It's now half an hour since the team broke in, and it looks like the squatters may be planning something.
Yo, can you help me get the fairy lights down quickly?
No re-entry, sorry, lovely.
Could someone give me a hand? I just want to get the fairy lights.
The eviction is almost complete, but Mark notices that one of the squatters is missing.
Where's that spot? Let's get this one out.
Despite the team's attempts to secure the roof, one of the squatters has managed to outfox them and clamber out.
It's right up on the top there.
Yeah, a few of the squatters' friends are now turning up.
Making matters worse, it looks like the squatters have called in reinforcements. Inside the building, Mark's patience is running thin.
I'm getting the fairy lights.
Out.
Don't touch me! Boots!
Thank you.
Fairy lights, nice man. Nice man that helped me.
Get out.
Can I get my table? Get the fairy lights!
With a protester on the roof, What was meant to be a short, sharp eviction is in danger of becoming a long, drawn-out battle.
Sophie will know. What?
In West London, Vicky McNaught had been fighting to evict her tenant, who owed her £8,000. After learning he was wanted for questioning by the police about an unrelated case, the tenant and his girlfriend did a runner. And finally, Vicky has her flat back.
So since I spoke to Paul and I heard about the police were here, that night all kicked off. The police came and they tried to get into the property and they wouldn't answer. And between the space of the police coming back again, they went off in a car with some bags.
As they had left with their possessions, Vicky could legally enter the property.
The police basically gave us the green light to change the locks. We've since learned that he's wanted for questioning by CID, which I think is actually quite serious. I think the police were key to him moving out that night.
Vicky's also discovered one of her tenant's references were fake.
It was done on some sort of headed paper, but it's completely and utterly fraudulent.
6 months of stress and more than £8,000 lost has taken its toll on Vicky.
It's just been a complete utter roller coaster. Been out here about 4 days on the trot, getting it scrub cleaned. Absolute nightmare, but it's finally ours.
Vicky is now considering getting rid of her flat altogether.
I just feel that, is it worth keeping? And probably the answer is no.
Still to come,
you should just piss off.
The Bristol squatters mount one last stand.
Go on then, go get one. You ingrate rooting hog.
In Bristol, Chris Sharp and the High Court Sheriff's attempt to evict squatters from the old tram station has gone awry.
Are you coming down or what?
And turned into a rooftop protest.
We've got the guy up there on the roof. It's causing a bit of a problem. He's having his 15 minutes.
The sheriffs aren't permitted to go on the roof to remove him, which leaves Chris's client, John, in a stalemate situation.
Yeah, not quite sure what this means, but I mean, look, at the end of the day, we've got access to the building now.
To make matters worse, there's a group of angry protesters gathering outside.
Just go away. It's their home. They lived there. You should just piss off.
Baseball bat.
Go on then, go get one.
You ingrate.
Go and get one.
You ingrate
Go and get
dog.
one.
You.
Go and get one.
You ingrate rooting hog.
Go and get one.
As the situation worsens, Head Sheriff Mark calls the police.
I'll phone the old Bill. They'll come down and hopefully they'll talk him down.
The inside of the building is now free from squatters, so the coast is clear for John to go in and assess the damage.
They certainly haven't been looking after the place, have they? A load of mess, a load of rubbish, graffiti all over the place, most of it not very pleasant. Much as they're pointing the finger at us and claiming to sort of have some sort of moral high ground, I would argue differently.
Outside, the police arrive on the scene.
One of them scooted up and got up on the roof. They are obstructing officers of the court, so it is an arrestable offence.
Mark's hoping the threat of arrest will shock the protesters into coming down.
Hello? You all right? Can we just have a quick chat on the roof a minute? You're not going to talk to me?
But the squatter is standing his ground.
How long have you been here?
Since 7.
Chris and the sheriffs suggest a new tactic. board up the entire building and leave the squatter to come down when he's ready. But before that, they're giving him one last chance.
Give them the option. Look, there's a ladder here now that we've put here for you. Do you want to get off the roof this way?
This window is going to be open for 15 minutes. He heard what I said.
To make sure the squatters don't return, John's team make the building as uninviting as possible.
You won't be able to use that now.
Some of the squatters leave with their belongings, and Mark offers the last squatter standing one final chance to climb down.
Right, this is being shut now. This is your last opportunity to come down this way, yeah? Yes, no? Thank you.
Right.
His response was, I'm going to have to turn you down.
I heard him, really.
Just lock it all down and that'll be it. He'll just be stuck on a roof.
It takes John's team over 3 hours to board up all the doors and windows. Outside, the squatter found another way off the roof, and after a 6-hour protest, he has now left. It's been a very difficult few months for John, but he's determined to carry on with his plans.
All we want to do is just get on with our jobs, and that is to create actual homes for people, not just sort of pay for squatters to live here rent-free.
More than 2 months have passed since Alex Williams finally evicted his tenant, who had racked up a hefty £8,000 in unpaid rent.
This way, come on.
After discovering his property in a terrible state, he spent 2 months refurbishing and redecorating.
We've lost £15,000 throughout all this process. It's not a small amount of money, is it? It can go from being, this is the thing with these, being a landlord, you can go from earning really nicely, or, covering your mortgage and having a little bit of extra, to suddenly spending all of your savings. So, you've got to be wary when you're doing this.
Since the eviction, Alex and his fiancée Maria have had to roll up their sleeves and get busy.
Basically, throughout the whole flat, as you can tell, it's been painted. That's the main thing. Everything's been painted, stripped back.
Despite his nightmarish experience, Alex is not about to throw in the towel just yet. He's planning on renting the flat out again, only this time he's determined to get the right tenant in.
It's not rented out quite yet. Because we're being ridiculously picky, it's just about finding that right tenant. Bessie, in, go on, in. Silly boy. Watch your face. Good boy.
Next time...
Oh, boy. Look, that's nasty.
The Harrow enforcement team tackle a suspect landlord.
This is really bad.
This is not safe. It's a fire hazard.
Paul Champliner investigates a subletting scam.
Excuse me, can you stop recording? He's not going to get away with it.
And a landlady in Doncaster faces financial disaster.
I'm not happy at all. This man has just ruined everything.